Welcome to Business Outlook.
Thank you. It's good to have you here. It's good to have you here.
Indeed. Now, quickly tell us a little bit about ZNFU as we get to discuss further.
The Zambia National Farmers Union is an organization that is member-driven. It's one of the oldest organizations this country's ever had. I think it was, my memory serves me right, from the literature that we have. I think it was set up sometime in 1905. It's only as old as some churches in Zambia.
Indeed.
Yeah, it was, so it was, the initial one was set up in eastern province of Zambia, where a group of farmers just came and said, no, look, I think what we need is an organization that is going to represent the interests of farmers. You know, so just a small group of farmers came together and started the ZNFU in the Eastern Province, 1905, way back. So fast forward to 2021, we're still doing exactly what those people set out to do in 1905. That is to lobby government and advocate for systems and policies that are going to help turn around the agriculture sector. From that time to date, that's exactly what we've been doing.
Interesting. And have most of these goals been achieved over the years?
Yes and no.
Okay.
When you are lobbying, it's a 50-50 situation. Do not expect that everything that you're lobbying is going to be taken on board by government. Government has got a lot of interests. You may propose something that is going to counter something else that they want to put across. So on a scale of 1 to 10, if you were to ask me how successful we have been as a union, I think we'll put it at 7.
At 7?
At 7, yeah. I think we have worked very well with various governments that have come and gone. We have worked extremely well with the current government, where extremely sensitive issues have been handled, and we have managed to work together closely and obviously taking into cognizance that our policy or our belief as Zambia National Farmers Union is to work with the government of the day, but not going to beg with government. So you have to know your constituents as a ZNFU representative, not to be a political person, but talk to politicians and persuade and lobby government to ensure that policies that are going to put into place represent farmers and represent the ideal situation where agriculture is going to grow.
Wonderful. Now, 2020 has been quite a challenging year, and COVID-19 has been at the peak of every sector in the country and the rest of the world. We've noticed that a lot of businesses have suffered, including the farming industry. How has ZNFU been able to help mitigate these challenges and make things easier for farmers?
Well, COVID-19 came at a time when everything was looking up in the agriculture sector. COVID-19 came at a time when I think we had posted 3.4 million metric tons of a harvest of maize. I think that was one of the best years for the country, especially that period. Other countries that surround Zambia had a tough time, with agriculture. But everything just came to a standstill, almost a standstill. We saw jobs being lost in the agriculture sector. Obviously, other sectors were affected as well. We saw jobs being lost in the agriculture sector. We saw workers stopping to report for work for fear of contracting COVID. We saw employers also streamline the number of workers for fear that if you have a larger group, then you're going to be affected. Maybe someone may bring it, someone may bring it on the farm, and then the whole team will be affected. So there has been a lot of uncertainty going forward. But if you look closely at what has happened in any economy in the world, at the advent of COVID-19, what we have seen is two sectors thriving. The IT sector, the ICT sector, has done extremely well, because now we have seen a new normal where meetings are held virtually, where decisions are made virtually, and so on. So the ICTs have thrived very, very well. The second one is the agriculture sector. Agriculture sector has also made a turnaround. Countries that have made deliberate policy to invest in the agriculture sector at this point in time, where people are staying at home, where restrictions are, where there are restrictions in movement and so on and so forth. Countries that have made deliberate investment in the agriculture sector are going to be trendsetters going forward. With or without COVID, people have to eat. More so with COVID, when people are restricted, movements are restricted, and so on. People have to stay at home and so on, meaning levels of consumption have gone up. You know, so who's going to produce? Who's going to avail that food? It's a farmer. So the agriculture sector has actually thrived. Those that are going to make investments in the agriculture sector during this period are going to be trendsetters going forward, because everyone else in the world will be looking towards them for food. You know, back home, if you look at what happened during 2020, government, actually the head of state, made a policy call to say, look, we want to see the multinational value chain stores, or multinational chain stores, start buying from local producers. So yes, there was COVID, but here was a silver lining, an opening for the agriculture sector. For those that were failing to supply to these chain stores, now have a door. You know, here's an opportunity that came. So that was one of the opportunities that availed itself during COVID.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And speaking of such opportunities, we've also seen Zambia making record-breaking harvests. But as we get to that question, just help us understand the difference between a good harvest and a bumper harvest, because people clearly have been talking about bumper harvest. You know, somebody could just have, you know, an acre of maize grown and they're calling it a bumper harvest. But what makes it different from a good harvest?
Okay. Yeah. Jimmy, maybe before I come to that question, let me make an appeal to the powers that be, to policymakers. In the wake of COVID, what should be done?
Yes.
Okay. What government should do now is to start looking at investing in small-scale farmers. 80% of farmers in Zambia are small-scale. 90% of the food that is produced, that we eat as a country, is produced by small-scale farmers in small clusters and so on. Now, if government is going to make deliberate investments, actualize the investment, I mean the mechanization fund, actualize the irrigation fund, we are going to see small-scale farmers conduct agricultural activities all year round, unlike a situation where they only wait for the rains to come. Okay? Now, these are farmers that will be doing vegetables, that will be doing fruits, and so on and so forth, all year round, that will be doing green maize, and so on and so forth. This is going to help turn around agriculture in Zambia. We have been talking about Zambia becoming an agricultural hub or food hub for the region. What is lacking is the investment in small-scale farmers, deliberate policies that are going to help trigger growth in the small-scale farmer. That is what is going to help turn around Zambia's agriculture. So our call as Zambia National Farmers Union is for government to look at making deliberate investments in small-scale farmers by mechanizing them, by ensuring that they unlock the irrigation fund, and farmers, small-scale farmers, can tap into small-scale irrigation. They don't need a center pivot. They don't need that. Just small irrigation equipment. You have the pump there, you have your sprinklers, your lines and sprinklers, and they're done. That's what we are talking about. Small mechanization equipment, small horsepower tractors, 40 horsepower, 30 horsepower. Empower them. They can do that. They become efficient, then they start producing on larger areas. You know, they become more efficient, and once you become efficient in agriculture, believe me, the time that you spend on a farm is lessened, the time that you spend on weeding is lessened, the time that you spend on even harvesting is lessened. Efficiency at production will result in increased production at the farm. Now coming to your question, if you could repeat that.
Well, the difference between a good harvest and a bumper harvest.
Yes.
You know, there are people out there who feel, you know, just because they made a good harvest, they call it a bumper harvest. What makes the two different?
Yeah, I know we've been quoted somewhere where we have talked about us as a union looking at the weather pattern for 2020 and 2021, where we have said we expect a good harvest.
Yes.
A good harvest does not necessarily mean bumper harvest. Okay? You could have a good harvest, but you would not have surpluses. Where you have surpluses, where you have a good crop, and then you have surpluses that you can even sell, that's what is called a bumper harvest, because you have excess production. If, say, for instance, as a country, what we need for both human consumption and industrial use is maybe 2 million metric tons, okay? If we produce 3.4 million metric tons, it means we have excesses of 1.4. We don't, this is what we could sell. We could sell maybe of the 1.4 that is remaining, we could sell 900, okay? So that we have 500 as reserve, strategic reserves. This is what the FRA will now, you know, will put reserves to say, okay, now we have excesses. From the excesses, we'll remove like 500,000 metric tons. Then the 900,000 metric tons we can sell and export. These are excesses. It means we have a bumper crop, okay? A bumper crop or a surplus crop. A good crop does not translate into a bumper harvest. A good crop would be one where you have a healthy crop, but you do not have excesses. That's a good crop. But it doesn't mean it's surplus. No. It's a good crop. You know, it's a well-natured crop. It's a crop that is well looked after. It's going to be a good crop. But it doesn't mean it's a bumper crop. Bumper or surplus, or it means you have excesses that you can leisurely, you know, export to the countries that are in it. So these are the two situations. If we are looking at the 2020-2021 crop season, what we have seen is that areas such as Southern Province that have had very poor rains in the past seasons, during the past 4 seasons, this is an area that has had good rain, and the crop that they have planted, what they have cultivated, is looking very good. Okay, we are looking at Western Province, some parts of Western Province that didn't have good rains, but now they have good rains, and they have planted, cultivated very well. We are looking at parts of Lusaka and Central Province where we had semi-droughts, but this year we have good rains, and they are planted very well. The crop is looking good. Whether we're going to have a bumper harvest or not, it will come at a time when now we're going to sit down and do the estimates, put the figures together. Areas in Eastern Province, how much are you bringing in? Southern Province, how much are you bringing in? Western Province, how much are you bringing in? Northwestern, how much are you bringing in? You know, Luapula, Muchinga, you know, Northern, how much are you bringing in? Central. Then we pull all these, we pull all these figures together, and then we say, okay, last year we had 3.4 metric tons. This year we have 4 million. then I'm going to say, yes, we have a bumper.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So that, for now, we cannot say we're going to have a bumper, but we have seen that we have a good crop. Okay? We have a good crop. Afterwards, when we pull all these figures together, that's when we're going to say, okay, we have hit so many million metric tons. We have excesses. Yes, we have a bumper. Or we have so much, but no, because of consumption and whatnot, we're only going to have, then we say, no, we don't have a bumper crop. So situations as at now, we cannot estimate, but what is pretending is that the crop is looking good.
So we're looking good in that direction.
We're looking good in that direction. Whether or not we're going to have a bumper harvest is after we pull the figures together.
That's a wonderful answer. So now, thank you for answering that question.
Yeah.
The other issue is, you issued a statement earlier concerning the importation of certain food products or grown products, being potatoes specifically and onions from other countries into Zambia. There was a suggestion concerning having government stop the importation of these products. Do you think our farmers are completely ready to start to actually produce enough of those potatoes and onions to supply the market?
Do you see those nice succulent potatoes that you find on the market? Those nice big ones?
Yes.
That's local product. That is local. Okay? They come in all sizes. They come in smaller sizes, they come in medium sizes, they come in large sizes. If you see the wheelbarrows that are moving around Soweto area, taking all over the place and so on, if you go to the Copper Belt and you see near, is it Nakadoli or whatever?
Nakadoli market, yes.
You know, wheelbarrows being pushed around with the sacks of potatoes. That is a local produce. That is a local produce. That potato is being produced locally. Zambia has capacity to produce any crop except those that are hindered due to climatic conditions and so on, those that can not grow. But in Zambia, you can grow literally anything. Any crop will grow in Zambia, except those that demand certain conditions. Like, for instance, maybe apples, you know, and so on. Yeah, but I have seen some farmers do trials for apples on a smaller scale, but they are improving. Those, we still have challenges. Potatoes, we have capacity to produce, except during certain periods where we have, when it's very cold, extremely cold, in that period, that's when we have a bit of challenges to produce a lot of potatoes. But mind you, this, we have farmers that are producing a lot and reserving some for that period, because they know that that period we have challenges. That is the time when now we sit together as a stock monitoring committee from the Ministry of Agriculture, from ZNFU, from traders and so on and so forth. We sit together and say, gentlemen, these are the stocks that we have on the market. We have a shortfall of 20,000 metric tons, and we're heading towards the festive period. Can we allow importations? Then we sit down and agree to say, okay, 20,000 metric tons, how much do we have in stock? Okay, we have this much. I think what we need to import is maybe between 10 and 15,000 metric tons. We agree as stakeholders, and then we allow imports to come. Onions is the same thing. Now, if we are going to allow importations of onions, okay, and potatoes during peak period when we are producing at peak period, then we're killing the local industry. What these countries do, even South Africa, even Zimbabwe, you want to export milk into Zimbabwe at peak period, they'll tell you no, you cannot. You cannot export milk into Zimbabwe. They hedge. South Africa, you want to take your honey, they'll tell you, first it has to go through certain processes because maybe you are bringing in diseased honey. How can that happen? Zambia produces honey that is unadulterated, pure honey. Pure honey. No chemicals involved. Nothing. How can you say it's adulterated? And then they make it go through certain processes, and then it stops being natural honey. You know, markets out there are demanding that we should supply natural honey, but it goes through certain tests, certain processes, and so on and so forth. So, if they hedge, why can't we hedge? If they want to protect the industry, why can't we protect our industry? So that decision by the Ministry of Agriculture should be commended by any well-meaning Zambian. Because we want to see growth of our industry, we want to see growth of our potato industry, of our onion industry, of our fruits and vegetables sector. That's what we want to see. If we are going to be allowing every Jim and Jack to bring in all manner of imports, we are killing this market. Let's establish and look inside ourselves to start producing enough so that we do not look to anyone to be supplying us. We want to reach a stage where we are self-sustained in any agricultural produce. That's what is going to help us. Look at what we did with wheat. Wheat, we used to produce 60,000 metric tons per year. Okay? That was 2009. We went and spoke with government. We lobbied government and said, no, look, hedge, protect us for now, so that we can prove to you that we are able to produce enough wheat as a country and be self-reliant, self-sustaining. In what? Government listened, they passed an SI, restricted importation of wheat and wheat products and so on. We jumped from 60,000, went to 120,000 metric tons per year. We moved from 120,000, went to 250,000 metric tons per year. Now we are able to produce between 280 and 300,000 metric tons in a year. We are self-sustained. Why can't we do the same with potatoes? Why can't we do the same with onions? We have to take certain painful steps for us to realize certain goals. That decision by government should be commended. It's excellent.
Indeed. Mr. Kaleyi, I know we're short of time, but in your closing remarks, what would be your suggestion? What would be, what word of encouragement would you give to farmers out there, as well as the young farmers out there? I think the most important is maybe within a minute or two, maybe you could just give a word of encouragement to young farmers.
I'll address young farmers, yes. The time of thinking that you cannot make your hands dirty is gone. Make your hands dirty and make money. Everything that we do comes from there. The clothes that you're wearing come from there. Cotton, everything is processed from there. The food that we eat is from there. Everything that you ever think about comes from there. The time to start investing in agriculture as young farmers is now. You cannot continue with the old trend where you only wait when you retire and start getting into agriculture. Other countries, do you know who's pushing agriculture? It's the young ones. Brazil, who's pushing agriculture? It's the young ones. So if we get the young ones to start appreciating agriculture at a tender age, to start making investments into agriculture at a tender age, we are going to see a leap in agricultural production in Zambia. The future of Zambia's agriculture lies in you, young men out there and young ladies out there. Get this opportunity and start thinking agriculture. You cannot go wrong. Anyone who invests in food, anyone who decides to invest in food production is not making a wrong decision. Who doesn't eat? Everyone eats 3-4 meals a day. If you make a decision today and start in making investments in agriculture production, you are making the right investment as it is. Take that step today and start making investments. If you don't have your own,
help the old ones that are doing it. Help your parents, help your grandparents. Deliberately start working closely with them so that you start picking up ideas and make that decision now. Agriculture lies in the youth.
Indeed. Agriculture lies in the youth, in our hands.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kaleyi. Definitely this is not the last, it's just the first of many that we'll have these chats together. Thank you for joining us on today's program. Hope to see you next time again.
Jimmy, thank you very much for coming through, and it's a pleasure having you here. CBC, you're always welcome.
Wonderful. We're inspiring transformation.